Classical music is a really important part of my life, but that wasn't always the case. It took me some time to get into it. It grew in importance for me as I began to learn just how exciting and dramatic and compelling it could be. As I listened to the symphonies of Tchaikovsky or the concertos of Rachmaninoff, there was just something incredibly thrilling and fun about the dramatic fire of those pieces. And over the years, I've been able to expand my interest in the various composers and all of their different pieces. And the reason I wanted to make this video is I recently learned something really important about the role that classical music has to play in our lives. I recently went on a trip with my family, and it was for a week. We were lodged up in the mountains, and we were on top of each other the whole time. And because of that, there was no engagement with any art. I wasn't listening to my favorite symphonies. We weren't watching any TV or just, the basic news channels. And, I wasn't really aware of it, but I wasn't engaging in any art. After the trip was over, I got in the car and I was driving home, and I turned on some of my favorite symphonies. And almost instantaneously, I burst into tears. Now that's something that rarely happens with me when I listen to classical music, but for some reason, in this moment, at this time, it did. And I realized that this was the resurgence of emotions that I hadn't been feeling all week, that they had sort of been repressed, and the classical music caused them to just resurge up within me, and they just burst out of me. And I realized that the music was, what it was doing was that it was telling me, it was reaffirming to me that my life mattered. And it was that emotion that brought me to tears. And this sort of led me to a larger conclusion, and this is what I wanted to share with you. What classical music on a more general level is able to give us is this feeling that our own lives are important, that they matter, that they're worth living. Each piece is taking something seriously. Each one that you listen to, whether it be happy or sad or lighthearted or full of anguish, all of the pieces are taking something seriously. And in a world where caring seriously about something is laughed at, like ours, this kind of message is extremely important. Because without the idea that your life is important, all that's left for you is the idea that your life doesn't matter, that it's insignificant, that it's meaningless. And this is what leads us to anxiety, it's what leads us to depression, it's what leads us to stagnation, and ultimately the boredom and the humdrum of day-to-day life. This is why you need classical music. It's the critical fuel, or it's one of the critical fuels for your life. It's a critical way for us to reaffirm to ourselves that our life matters and that it's worth living, that it's worth getting out of bed, that it's worth experiencing another day. This is why I'm currently working on a guide on how to get into classical music, to help those of you who are understandably struggling to get into this often inaccessible genre. Be sure to subscribe to our channel because that's going to be coming out, and you want to hear news on when it does. I've also linked in the description below to 3 beginner pieces if you want to get started right away on this life-changing journey. This is the incredible value that classical music has to offer. Thank you for watching.